We're getting ready at the Nuerburgring for race 2 of the weekend for the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe. We had the first race yesterday afternoon in pretty hot conditions. Today, however, although it's dry, it's a bit more like the Nuerburgring because it is overcast, it's quite chilly, it's quite breezy, and the cars making their way round to the grid, ready for this almost breakfast race. They raced yesterday afternoon and then early this morning. But the championship has this race and only 2 more to go at the World Finals at Jerez, and it means that we're getting to the crunch point of the season now. Points essential, and a win yesterday for Vito Postiglione and Kiko Galbiati was certainly a good result, not only in terms of pride, but points for the championship, bringing them now far closer to the mix relative to the championship leaders Danny Cruz and Sergei Afanasiev. David Addison trackside, as you look at the Nicolas Gomar and Gilles Vanelay car making its way round to the grid. They have been winners together within the AM Cup. Also, Nicolas Gomar has been a winner as a soloist this year in the AM Cup, but he's one of the quick drivers within it. The entry perhaps not quite as numerous this year, but it's a very competitive entry as ever. And as the field threads into position, we will be getting the cars underway very shortly for what's going to be a 15-minute race. Mandatory pit stops as ever, with a stop time of 63 seconds if you're on your own, or 1 minute if you are a double driver entry. As far then as the championship is concerned after yesterday, within the pro class now, 111 points for Afanasiev and Cruz, and 10 points back, Kiko Galbiati and Vito Postiglione, and they will be having a real go to try and get ahead. First though, let's go to the grid and join our reporter Dakota Jane.
Maurizio, I love being on the Lamborghini grid. Now, Nürburgring is a special place for you guys because you just set the record with the Aventador SVJ on the Nordschleife. Is there any plans for more Nordschleife records?
I think for us, during the development, the Nordschleife is a reference track that we use for suspension, for power release, and for all the major components. It's clear that when we are here, we see the potential of a car, and in a case of Lamborghini, we need to define what is the standard of a super sport car, and for this reason, Nordschleife will be every way a kind of gauge for our performance.
Now, the last race before the World Final in Jerez, what can we expect out of today? Another great race?
I think will be really important because more and more the World Final is became something like a separately world champion, and I think this year mainly US will have a really important path, because normally Europe made the, let me say, the most powerful championship, but this year I think also US will be made something special.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The World Final at Jerez last weekend of October. Well, it's here Reggiani illustrating how cold it is on the grid there as he goes for a stroll to try and warm himself up. British driver Stuart Middleton is going to go first in number 32, which will line up on the outside of the front row of the grid. Stuart having had a win at Spa, a win at Silverstone this year, with fellow Brit Jack Bartholomew. Stuart Middleton coming into Lamborghini racing this year, whereas Jack's in his second season, having been the Middle East champion last year and a front runner in not just that, but also of course in the Asian series as well. And they've made a pretty decent combination of drivers actually for the Bonaldi Motorsport team. Second row of the grid is where you find Harold Schlegelmilch and, we hope, Shota Abkazova, who didn't drive yesterday, got to the bottom of the plot in the end. He didn't do the qualifying session, so the car started at the back of the grid. Schlegelmilch got a drive-through because he was not the nominated start driver. It wasn't for jumping the start, although it looked like he had done, but that's why the drive-through came for that car yesterday. And there is the man himself. Shota Abkazova is present, the Georgian, and looking forward to his first race of the weekend as he wishes Harold Schlegelmilch well. Let's rejoin Dakota.
Now, today is much different weather than yesterday. A very cold race today. Is that better to suit you and your English?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the car should be running a bit more brake horse today, so we should pick up a little bit more down the straights. Track temperature really ballooned out yesterday in the second part of the race, so looking forward to maybe putting in some better times today.
We're looking forward to you battling it to the top. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers.
Stephen Lickorish, former Mini Challenge Carrera Cup racer and a competitive driver within Lamborghini Super Trofeo, runs in the AM category, sharing that car with Thomas Padovani. Alberto Di Folco is a former Pro-Am champion. He shares with ex-single-seater racer Davide Venditti. He was quick yesterday, was Di Folco, so he's another man to watch. And one of the fascinations of the double driver entries is the relative pace of the drivers. And you'll see there are some cars that are much quicker when one driver is behind the wheel than the other. The results, the order shuffles accordingly as we go through the 50 minutes of the race. They're going to be released shortly then onto the warming up lap. Pirelli tyres, of course, for a fine Italian car. The Urus there, the lead car, will send them away. And on pole position, Vito Postiglione, who was a real start yesterday. Kiko Galbiati ran second throughout his stint, but Postiglione, having got in the car early, did some excellent laps in order to bring down the gap and get the lead on the pit stops. Co-driver Kiko Galbiati should be with Dakota.
Kiko, now you were so quick yesterday. You and Vito make such a good pair. Today is a whole different day. Is it going to be pole to finish?
Yeah, we hope so. Yesterday was a good race, but now we had to go on power and to win again. Today it's cold, but with the car we are good, and we hope that we will win again.
Let's see how it goes. Thank you very much, Kiko.
So Kiko Galbiati strides across to the car that he shares with the Imperiale Racing regular, Vito Postiglione, and that car, certainly on the pace of yesterday, is going to be pretty hard to beat. Postiglione, who has come so close year after year after year to being a champion, but it has just not clicked for him, and fingers crossed this year. But this is the car they've got to try and overcome. The Bonaldi entry in the hands of, for the first stint, Sergei Afanasiev. For stint 2, it's going to be Danny Cruz in his first year in the championship. Cruz has looked really strong there, the Dutch driver with the Russian co-driver, ex-single-seater racer Afanasiev. So let's have a quick walk up the grid. Vito Postiglione will start on pole position for Imperiale Racing, and Stuart Middleton for Bonaldi lining up alongside. 3 victories to Postiglione, Galbiati, 2 this year to Bartholomew and Middleton. On the second row of the grid is Harold Schlegelmilch, starting in the car that he shared to Shota Abkhazova, and number 9 is Alberto Di Folco to go first on the outside of that row for Target Racing. Row 3, Sergei Afanasiev lines up in number 3. Number 30 started by Anthony Lambert for Leipert. On the 4th row, there's the AGS events car of the very experienced and successful Gilles Vanelay, and Jakub Knoll goes first in number 66. Not as quick as his co-driver Josef Zaruba, so that car's rise and fall will be one to watch in the first part of the race. 33, started by the Finn, all-rounder, rallier and racer, Mikko Eskelinen. Robert Svinger, one of the best of the AMs, double winner in the class, lines up alongside in 99. Gerard van der Horst starts 98, in fact he's a soloist in 98, double winner this year in the Lamborghini Cup. Stephen Licorice is alongside him for Artline Team Georgia, ahead of Joseph Collado, double winner in the AM Cup, and Antonios Vossos, the Greek driver there, number 64 alongside. Number 90 had a drive-through yesterday, Holger Harmsen's ultra-smart car. 51 had a mechanical problem late race that did for today's start driver Oscar Lee. Number 21, which had a grid drop, started by Andrei Lewandowski, a legacy of an incident at Spa, and Benoit Semelin will start in number 26, the Sem-Speed car. 4 class wins they've had this year in the Lamborghini Cup. Next comes Oliver Freimuth, and then the Thai driver Supichai Weeraboorwompong. Number 81 is David Fairbrother out of Volkswagen and Carrera Cup in the UK, and Hans Fabry is alongside him. And at the back of the grid is the second of the Michenek Motorsport cars, and Libor Dvoracek shares with the start driver Kurt Wagner. So that is how they line up. Very shortly, the engines will fire, the grid will be cleared, and then we should get set to go racing. 50 minutes, mandatory pit stops between the 20 and 30 minute mark. And for Vito Postiglione and Kiko Galbiati, a win absolutely essential to try to help that championship dream going to Jerez, which again is going to be interesting because it's a completely new venue as far as the championship is concerned. One of the essential elements of the world final is that it's a level playing field because you bring across the teams from Asia and North America as well as Europe. So if you have been racing there during the season within your national, your regional championship, of course you're going to have an advantage. So it's always got to be a neutral venue. Last year was Vallelunga, the year before that we were at Imola, the year before that Valencia, and it's very much these days a European feature. It's earlier, late October rather than mid to late November, and the Jerez World Finals will be where this series will be decided, hopefully, in the final race. So, grid cleared, engines are running, and Vito Postiglione, hugely experienced driver, traces roots back to one-mate racing, as well as things like the World Touring Car Championship, Italian GT, pace setter in that. Kiko Galbiati, he's been in Italian GT, the International GT Open Series, Formula 4 again, a lot of racing in a pretty short space of time, and for the first time really in a pro class car. He's always been quick as the pro within a pro-am, but you're dependent on the pace of your am to get the results. Well, in a pro entry, and there's somebody that's not got away, look, he is showing his proper pace. Now, who is that was stranded? Stephen Licorice, I fear. So everybody tries to wriggle around him. Is Stephen Licorice going to have to start at the back of the grid, or has he got away before the last car went past? And can he pick up places? We'll try and catch a glimpse in a moment as the field turns through. But if you are away late after everybody else, you are meant to start at the very back of the grid, and the car is not at the very back. So it looks like he did get away eventually and has been able to reclaim that grid position. The field coming out of the turns 1 to 4 sequence through the arena. There, the lead car, the Lamborghini Urus, leads Victor Postiglione. Then Stuart Middleton is going to have to be on his toes. Stuart, runner-up in Ginetta Juniors, British GT4 class champion within the British GT Championship. He was a race winner last year for HHC Motorsport, Charlie Kemp's team, within the British GT, within the European GT4 series, and will be very much a man to watch in the first stint of this race as the cars now turn their way down towards turn 5. Speed building here as they drop down the hill. Bottom of which there is turn 8, which is the long hairpin here, loops them round, then the climb up towards the Schumacher S. There you have the overall situation, which in a sense is academic because there isn't an overall champion, there are class champions. The pro category, it's 110 plays 101 for Afanasieff Cruz against Postiglione and Galbiati. But if there were to be a notional overall championship, this is how it would look. But that's based on where you finish outright, no matter what class you are in. The Pro-Am Championship leader is Shota Abkazova, the Am leader is Nicolas Gomar, and the Lamborghini Cup leaders are the Semelan, father and son combination. That's the Schumacher S, which was catching out 1 or 2 yesterday. It's going to be interesting to see how everybody attacks the first few laps here, because it's much, much cooler than yesterday. The track temperature is way, way down. Looking at 14.9 degrees as the 17.2 degrees for the track temperature. The air temperature is 14.9, so it's much, much cooler than yesterday, and therefore the likes of Alberto Di Falco here working that little bit harder to force the heat into the tyres as the car heads now down through the Van Bogen on the run up towards the chicane. Now, yesterday we managed to get through without safety car dramas, 24 laps achieved within the 50 minutes, so that's the target for this race. And Victor Postiglione now, with Stuart Middleton getting up alongside him, prepares for the start. It's going to be an all-important drag race down to turn 1. So with the lights flashing, the pace car as it is will peel into the pit lane, into the chicane they turn. Postiglione, Middleton, Harold Schlegelmilch, who, if you go back over a decade, was within the Formula 3 Euro Series, never a race winner, but was an occasional front runner, had a few years away, went rallying, came back into racing, and should be a man to watch, starting 3rd on the grid. He made good progress in the very back yesterday when he drove solo. So here they come then, through the turn 17 right-hander, the field in formation, 1 or 2 getting a bit toey, eager to get on with this, trying to get the drop on the opposition. And so Daniele Galbiati, the race director, puts the lights to green. The race gets underway. Postiglione makes the best start. Down towards turn 1, a dive to the inside by Sergio Afanasieff in the Bonaldi car. Gets up alongside Harold Schlegelmilch. It's Postiglione that leads then as they dive into turn 1. Second is Middleton. Third is Afanasieff just on the inside. Forces Alberto Di Falco out wide. And there's drama. There's one facing the wrong way. And that is Stephen Licorice, who has not had a good morning. Delayed on the formation. Lap spins at turn 1, he's facing the wrong way, everybody has avoided him. Postiglione leading, Stuart Middleton leading, Sergio Afanasieff leading, just Schlegelmilch is in on the inside, no, not quite. Di Falco round the outside at turn 4, hangs onto the plate, off the road and back on again, on board with him now. The Target Racing car heads down towards turn 4 and now dive through the left-hander at 5, downhill with Middleton crawling all over the back of Postiglione, but not yet able to find a way by. There going through is 89. That being the Nicolas Gomar and Gilles Vanaday car. Gilles Vanaday is behind the wheel of it for stint 1 as they head towards the turn 8 hairpin at the foot of the hill, then up towards the Schumacher S. 89 is Robert Svinger. On the back there, look at Mikko Eskelinen. Gilles Vanaday leading the AMS. Eskelinen, who does a bit of rallying, proves the point by going off the road and back on. And that's Stephen Licorice, who's got out of his danger point at turn 1 and is now stranded. This is not a good day at all for the British driver. So he still hasn't got, I'm afraid, up and going again. And the safety car is being deployed. Yes, oh, now there is Stephen Licorice, who's got going through the gravel. And the incident zone is going to be clear, but the safety car's already been scrambled. So they're all going to bunch up, and that should just about give him a chance to catch up. There is the safety car on track, so sensibly picking them up before the incident zone slows everybody right down. And the field here, slowly making its way up towards the chicane. Stephen Licorice, though, has got going, so it should not take long to get the race back underway, should it? Through they turn. There is Gilles Vanaday going through. So Vito Postiglione's gap, which was really only a couple of tenths, disappears. Stuart Middleton given a chance to have a go on the restart. Should only be a lap, really, because the incident has cleared itself. What's going to be interesting is to see now whether the car of Stephen Licorice can catch up with the pack as they come over the timing line. There to the pit lane, number 24. Now, that's a drama early for Oliver Freimuth. So in he comes, Oliver Freimuth, for the AKF Motorsport team with a problem as he picked up some damage maybe in the incident at turn 1. Didn't look like the car was hobbled, but keep an eye to that as he comes down the pit road now. And of course, it's not your mandatory stop. You can only do that in the window during the middle part of the race. So the field now turning its way down through turns 3 and 4. See 1 or 2 stragglers just dropping back a little bit there. For example, Jakob Noll. Replay of the start. Lights go green, everybody blasts away. Good getaway by Postiglione. Others pretty keen to get through the traffic. This the view from Alberto De Falco on the run down towards turn 1, staring at the back of Stuart Middleton's car on the outside line. To the inside went the blue and white Bonaldi entry of Sergei Afanasiev, being chased by Anthony Lambert, who tucked in behind. Brake hard, turn right, deep into the corner goes Postiglione. Wait for Licorice. Was there contact? Yes, there was. So he gets turned around, but Oliver Freimuth, I think, did escape that. Now, the car's down at turn 8, but Stephen Licorice given a little tap. Might have been from Joseph Colado's car that did for him. Safety car in at the end of the lap as you see 51, the Taiwanese driver Oscar Lee going out of turn 8. The climb up the hill, and Vito Postiglione leads the field. He's going to be on his toes trying to build that gap on the resumption of the race. Oliver Freimuth back into the race, so it was a very brief pit stop. Stephen Licorice is still playing catch-up as well. He's on his way down towards turn 5. The leaders are coming up to turn 13. So, have a look at Vito Postiglione's start. Accelerates and hesitates. You're meant to go, not go and slow. And the race officials might want to look at that. So Vito Postiglione's start, it's not coming up as being under investigation, but interesting that that was how he approached it, because normally once you start accelerating, you have to keep accelerating. Otherwise, you can create this concertina effect behind, and you could create an accident. It's all very well trying to outfox the opposition, but it can be dangerous. So that will have been looked at in race control, no doubt. We'll see if any action is taken as we get set for the restart. Now the cars blast through turn 17. Postiglione is away. Stuart Middleton loses a couple of lengths in a straight line now as they come past the pits then. 45 minutes of the race, still 2 goes. They blast down towards turn 1. Postiglione it is that has the advantage then. Second, Stuart Middleton. Afanasiev in 3rd place, up from the 3rd row of the grid ahead of De Falco. In 5th is Harold Schlegelmilch, which should be as the start driver, and then in 6th place, Anthony Lambert. So Harold Schlegelmilch goes through. He's being shown on the timing data as Shota Abkazova, but it was definitely Schlegelmilch we saw behind the wheel, and he qualified the car. So Schlegelmilch it is that's the start driver for this race. He did yesterday's race solo because Abkazova had to leave the venue, wasn't able to drive at all yesterday, nor in qualifying nor the race. So there, Vito Postiglione comes downhill, trying to fend off the challenger Middleton here as they make the run down to turn 8. See how much of the curve they're using. Now what can Schlegelmilch do? Stephen Licorice, incidentally, in his efforts to catch up, has just done the fastest lap of the race after his early spin. It won't last, I'm afraid to say, because as you get the regular front runners up to a proper race pace, the lap times will tumble. Great shots of the cars heading downhill. That's Superchai Wirabor number 71 heading down to turn 8. There are the leaders up through the Schumacher S. Stuart Middleton, who had a spin late race at that part of the circuit yesterday, dropped 2 places, 1-1 back, rides the curbs again. There going through is Jakob Noll, the red, white and blue car, sharing with Josef Zaruba, who is quicker on the lap time evidence, and at the moment Noll keeping the Finn, Mikko Escalanen at bay. There are the leading, what have we got, 5 really, all the way from Postiglione down to Schlegelmilch on the run now towards the chicane. Alberto Di Falco under attack from the Latvian driver Harold Schlegelmilch, who goes to the inside, but Alberto Di Falco knows how to defend in one of these cars, sticks out his elbows and manages to hold sway as they now run up towards turn 17 once more. Anthony Lombard just dropping back a little bit as they come now through the right. Contact between Joseph Collado and Stephen Licorice is under investigation from turn 1, so confirmation it was Collado that got involved. The leaders go by with now 11 tenths being the margin between Postiglione and Middleton. There is Harold Schlegelmilch still in 5th place, leading Pro-Am at the moment by some margin over under Lewandowski, who is in 13th overall, and then Oscar Lee, who is in 16th overall. This is the view from Di Falco's car. You see how gloomy it is compared to yesterday. Much, much cooler. Alberto Di Falco into turn 4 now, through that tight right, on the power, let the car run out wide. Rattles over the curb, up through the gears, and at the moment he is doing his best to defend from Harold Schlegelmilch in Shota Abkazova's car. Down towards the right-hander of turn 5, there is Schlegelmilch. Now the race leader is at turn 8, Vito Postiglione, 3 times a winner this year, multiple runner-up in the championship. And now the cars sprint their way up into the Schumacher S once again. Is he getting away from Stuart Middleton? Yes, and Middleton perhaps now having to look to his laurels, because Sergei Afanasiev is just starting to bring down that gap slightly in 3rd place. There he is, 4th Di Falco, 5th is Schlegelmilch, and then in 6th place is Anthony Lombard in the car that he shares with Niels Lagrange. So the battle is starting to creep up for 2nd place, isn't it? Stuart Middleton versus Sergei Afanasiev, who's another driver that's worked his way through the single-seater ranks, getting up through International Formula Master into GP2 before moving across to GT racing. And Afanasiev, oddly, hasn't proved to be quite as quick as newcomer Danny Krust this year. The Pro-Am standings, you can see, Schlegelmilch ahead of Lewandowski, and then Oscar Lee and David Fairbrother. That's the order within Pro-Am. Race leaders across the line, 41 minutes to go. The race leaders down towards turn 1, and Postiglione's advantage is 2 seconds now over Stuart Middleton. So Middleton to Afanasiev half a second. In other words, the balance is shifting, isn't it? Postiglione is building the gap like we saw yesterday. The real question in this is can Afanasiev get past Middleton in order to keep Danny Krust in touch when we get into the 2nd stint of the race. There is Gilles Vannelet, who is currently the leading AM from Mikko Escalanen. And then in 3rd in the class, Robert Svinger, who was the winner yesterday. But Gilles Vannelet, who has been around the block quite a few times, from one-mate races, from the FIA GT3 European Championship. He was a titleist in that. He's been a French GT regular, raced in pretty much every GT class going, I think it's fair to say, going strongly in Lamborghini Super Trofeo this year. That's the outright race leader, Vito Postiglione, who yet again finds himself staring at not winning the championship. So you can understand why he's hustling on here to try and build the lead and give Kiko Galbiati the best possible chance of bringing the car home for a 4th win of the season. Downhill he comes then now. Vito Postiglione running on his own. Stuart Middleton a fraction quicker in sector 1 as Afanasiev kicks up the dirt. 4th is Di Falco, 5th is Harold Schlegelmilch, and 6th is Anthony Lombard. So the cars now make the run out of the chicane. Stuart Middleton by half a second over Afanasiev at the start of this lap, and gained a little bit of time in sectors 1 and 2, so he's having another push for the Bonaldi team. But of course it's the sister car behind. Another Bonaldi entry is number 3 of Afanasiev. Over the timing line goes Vito Postiglione. He's done the fastest lap of the race, by the way, now, a 1:58.7, and the gap is 2.1 seconds. It's a narrow margin, that. He needs to try and build it a bit, and of course that one safety car lap has just eaten slightly into the available pure race time that he's got to give Kiko Galbiati that lead. So there is number 3, Sergei Afanasiev, keeping Alberto Di Folco at bay. Stephen Licorice, after his pretty torrid day, is in the pits. And there is the fight on for 4th place now. And there's more drama with off-the-road Robert Svinger, and that, I fear, is Mikko Escalinen's car facing the wrong way. That's at turn 5. So Robert Svinger drops down the order, and so too will, if he gets going, Mikko Escalinen. So Escalinen is now in 16th place, Svinger is down to 12th. So they have got going, but badly delayed, the pair of them. And Escalinen sharing with Jake Rattenbury means that that car is going to have to rely on the British driver's efforts to haul it back into the order. They could do with another safety car period, really, now. Leaders out of the Schumacher S. Lap 6. There through is Alberto Di Folco, who's been a Pro-Am champion, ex-Carter, ex-Formula Renault racer before he came across to Lamborghini racing. Di Folco now hard at work as you ride on board with him, coming out of turn 12. Drop downhill, speed building all the time now. 5th gear through turn 13, up to the chicane, grabs 6th. Then stands on the anchors down through the gears. The Lamborghini Super Trofeo running the Formula 1 version of the chicane, the tighter chicane, whereas the GT3, GT4 races use the soft version, the motorbike version. A bit less strain on the car as they're going through. Then is Di Folco. So one more lap completed as he comes over the timing line. 6 down by the leader, Vito Postiglione, whose advantage is 2.2 seconds over Stuart Middleton. Middleton has proved this year to be quicker than Jack Bartholomew, so it's going to be interesting to see where number 32 stays in the second stint. Here, down to 1st gear for turn 1, goes Alberto Di Folco, keeping Harold Schlegelmilch behind him. Through the arena goes Di Folco, and he in turn not really being able to do much at the moment about Afanasiev because he's keeping Schlegelmilch behind him. 6th is Lombard, and he in turn is now being caught a little by Gilles Vannelet, but Lombard has certainly dropped off the back of that leading quintet. 36 minutes on the clock still, which means 6 minutes and change before we get to the pit window opening. In some cases, you'll find drivers bail early because they want the quicker driver in. In the case of Postiglione, certainly Schlegelmilch and others, they'll stay out for as long as is possible to maximise the time available for the quicker driver in the car. Gap down a little bit on this lap, look, 1.9 seconds, because Stuart Middleton quicker by nearly 3/10 than Postiglione within the first sector. So Vito Postiglione not yet being able to build that gap to the size that he would like. Yesterday's winning margin was 14 seconds in the end. It was a mighty gap that he built up. Di Folco up the curve as he comes out there of turn 13 down the hill. Stephen Licorice, I fear, we have lost from the race because he's been in the pits for 3 laps now. Rather looks as though the British driver is going no further. Alberto Di Folco comes through the chicane then, still keeping Schlegelmilch behind him. Some of the shuffling now, I suspect, is going to be done on the pit stops because the Nuerburgring Grand Prix circuit, not the easiest at which to overtake around. Doesn't really have many stop-start areas. Corners flow one into the other, so it makes life difficult to overtake at times. Through goes the leading duo. The gap, actually, despite the efforts early in the lap of Middleton, goes up 2.3 seconds. He's now adrift of Postiglione. The field accelerates once more up through the arena. So Postiglione leading Middleton, leading Afanasiev, leading there. Di Folco 4th, 5th is Schlegelmilch in the car of Shota Abkazova. So the race leaders down through turn 5, and you can see still looking strong up front is the race leading Vito Postiglione, still with that sizable gap. Through they turn this lap 8. And Postiglione it is, with with the advantage of 2.3 seconds going on to this lap. Middleton second, Afanasiev third, Defalco fourth, Schlegelmilch fifth. Again, ignore that graphic, it is Schlegelmilch behind the wheel, and the top six rounded out by Anthony Lombard. Downhill now comes the race-leading Vito Possiglione car. Now Stuart Middleton, again, hustling on, pulls back a 10th in the first sector, loses a 10th in the second sector. We've got 2 laps before the pit window opens, and now drivers starting to get themselves ready for that second stint in the race. Over the line comes Vito Possiglione, so the gap is there. Now fast forward, Kiko Galbiati versus Jack Bartholomew versus Danny Cruz within the top 3. Possibly Danny Cruz, the quicker of the 3 drivers on the evidence of this year. We'll find out when we get to that second part of the race. Stint 1 coming towards its close. Mikko Escalanen, after his delay a long way back now, down in 19th place, having been tagged into that spin. So the Finnish driver with work to do to try and bring himself up the order. There's Gilles Vanelay still leading in the AM Cup as he goes down through turn 1. Not only leading the AM class, but also 7th overall, which is a pretty mighty achievement. Hugely experienced driver is Vanelay, and he's putting it all to good use here as he comes now through the arena. Out of turn 5 is Postiglione. He heads down the hill once more as we approach the pit window. So Postiglione to Stuart Middleton, that gap still hovering around the 2-second mark. A little bit of time gained in one sector, lost in another. And on this lap, it's thousandths that are gained by Postiglione, just to creep ahead ever so slightly. On board with Defalco as he blasts then up the hill out of the Schumacher S. Defalco who will give way to Davide Venditti. Down the hill they come for the 9th time. So right now, the lead gap 2.2 seconds, and in 3rd place, Afanasiev, who is, 4 seconds behind Vito Postiglione. That should be enough to give Danny Cruz a good chance going into the second stint of the race. So it's going to be interesting to see what pans out after the stops. Postiglione goes through. His fastest lap was done on lap 4. We've now done 9 as he goes through. Down through turn 1 goes the leading gaggle, and still 4 seconds just over 1st to 3rd. So there, the championship leading car of Afanasiev staying in touch with championship rival Vito Postiglione, who leads the race. They're still within striking distance going into the second stint. The pit window will open within the minute, and let's see who bails first. There's Harold Schlegelmilch, who rather frustratingly has not been able to make progress up from 5th. Indeed, he's lost ground, of course, from where he started on the grid. So Shota Abkazov will take over. Should still be on for a class win, actually, because Andrei Lewandowski 9th will give way to Gregor Mokchulski, who is not quite as quick as Lewandowski. That's Antonio Vossos going through. He currently runs 10th, one of the AMs. Robert Zwinger is behind him, 3rd in the AM category. Zwinger, of course, having been off the road earlier, delayed with the Mikko Escalanen contact. But Antonios Vossos out of turn 4, blasts now down as the window is open. Pit stop can now take place. It's going to be really the brave drivers out of that leading gaggle, or maybe Mikko Escalanen, if he's so far back that he's going to be able to get in early. Yes, he is. Escalanen just out of turn 17 as the window was opening. So Mikko Escalanen is in to give way to Jake Rattenbury. That could be quite a good, shrewd decision. The team here making the best out of being at the back of the field, because at least it means you can get in early. So there, Vito Postiglione, does he stay out? Yes, he does. What about Stuart Middleton? He stays out, and Afanasiev will also skip pit in. So does Defalco, so does Schlegelmilch. So here, drivers carrying on for at least one more lap, and Anthony Lombard comes in to give way to Niels Lagrange. There is Mikko Escalanen, who is the man that always brings the mad prop backing with him. And he now walks away. Jake Rattenbury in the car, and Vito Postiglione, as he gets to the end of his stint, maybe upping his pace because he's just done an absolute best middle sector on that previous lap. Anthony Lambert in, as we see, to give way to Niels Lagrange. Welsh driver Jake Rattenbury for Lippert, door closed. There is Jakob Noll, eager to get in to give way to the quicker Josef Zaruba. Past him goes Andrei Lewandowski in the grey and orange car. More dive for the pit lane as well. So the pit road, with only 10 minutes of the window and of course a 2-minute lap, meaning that you've got to time it right, it becomes a busy place. There goes Lewandowski over the line. Antonios Vossos is behind him, and then Robert Svinger next in the queue. Svinger trying to get past Vossos for another place within the AM class as they break and go down towards turn 1. So the pair, who have been together since Robert Svinger had his moment through the gravel and fell behind the Greek driver, he's not been able to find a way back past. So he's got bored looking at the back of the Huracan Evo here of Antonios Vossos. He can try and get past the Target racing car now on the pit stops. There is Niels Lagrange, good to go. Sits and waits until the 60 seconds of stationary time are up, then he can be waved away. Here is Vito Postiglione, whose lead went up last time over Stuart Middleton to 3 seconds. He's still only 4.4 though, ahead of Sergei Afanasiev, who in turn is bringing Alberto Di Folco with him. Another lap about to be notched up by Postiglione. Look at the blue and white car. Afanasiev is heading for the pit lane this time, and Di Folco, I thought, was coming in with him. He elects to stay out because having just taken a place, he'll stay out with clear track space ahead and see what he can do to push now. Might gain a second, which could prove to be crucial. Down the pit road then, Sergei Afanasiev to give way to Danny Cruz, and now we start to tee up for the second part of the race and the lead battle. That car versus 44 when Kiko Galbiati takes over. So down the pit road here comes Sergei Afanasiev, and Danny Cruz is getting ready to take over. Slowly down the pit lane. There's not much the teams can do. Check tyre pressures, get the driver in, but monitor the stopwatch. And almost without exception this year, we've had people being too short on the pit stop. If you're under by tenths, then you get that added on at the end. If you're markedly under by seconds, tens of seconds, then you get a drive through. There's the leading car then, Vito Postiglione. How many more laps will he do before he gives way to Kiko Galbiati? You've got in second place Stuart Middleton staying out, and the other driver to watch from the UK, Jake Rattenbury, now behind the wheel of number 33, hopefully coming back into the AM category battle. More down the pit lane. Robert Svinger is in, Joseph Collado is in. Now there, Danny Cruz is ready to go. 79 blasts into position, that's Joseph Collado. He's a soloist, so he has to sit for 63 seconds. The 3-second time difference designed to equate those drivers that are fresh into a car and getting used to what the car feels like and what the track conditions are like, relative to a driver going solo who knows exactly what the car and the track conditions are like because he's been out there for the first part of the race. Away goes Cruz, blasts down the pit road. So the way it works for the double driver entries, you start one race, finish the other, just as it is in Blancpain GT or GT4 European Series, for example. Vito Postiglione does another lap, then stays out. Stuart Middleton stays with him. And Danny Cruz now into the race. Let's see what he can do in this stint, getting back onto terms with the Imperiale racing car. And we'll start looking at lap times next time around once the Dutch driver has got a flying lap under his belt. So Postiglione leads Middleton. There, round the outside, goes 81, which is the Jack Butel David Fairbrother car, gets run out wide, and so Jack Butel, who's now taken it over from David Fairbrother, loses track position against Lewandowski and also Vossos. Now they are battling for position. The car of Jack Butel is a lap down after the pit stop, and he gets a bit of a workover there, the XLMP3 racer. Into the chicane comes Andrei Lewandowski, 7th on the road at the moment. Antonios Vossos chasing on behind. They come now towards the right-hander at turn 17. Brake, turn through. Over the timing line goes Lewandowski. So that car, second in Pro-Am, keeping Vossos, who is an Am, at bay. And the race lead gap 4 seconds. Where in all of this, they dive down at turn 1. That's Holger Harmsen's car rejoining after its pit stop. Almost catching out Lewandowski, who goes right around the outside. Where is Vossos? He's up the inside of Harmsen now, staying with his on-track rival, which is Lewandowski, number 21, in the GT3 Poland car, down through turn 3 now. And right up behind them, you'll see, is Jacques Butel, who wants to try and find a way past Holger Harmsen there. Jake Rattenbury just over the timing line, but he's quite a long way back still now, in 22nd spot, not really gaining on the stops. Danny Krus onto a flying lap now, so number 3, currently classified 9th. It'll gain, of course, as others have pitted. There is Postiglione, goes through the chicane. Is he heading for the pit lane? I think he might be this time. Yes, he is. Vito Postiglione comes in, and we have the first pit stop under investigation. It's 88 from Hans Fabry. So if that car was short on the pit stop time, the officials will have a look and adjudicate accordingly. So the race leader is in. Vito Postiglione set to give way now to Kiko Galbiati. Door opens. Kiko Galbiati stands aside the car, and there is the new race leader, Stuart Middleton, going to the end of the window before he gives way to Jack Bartholomew. Alberto Di Falco staying out as well, pushing on behind. And number 3 now is the car to monitor relative to 44. So Danny Krus, first flying lap, comes down through turn 8. Vito Postiglione giving way in the pits to Kiko Galbiati. And where will this car be relative to the green Imperiale Racing entry when they come over the timing line? Over the curb, first of all, goes Danny Krus. Now makes that run up towards the turn 11-12 sequence. Still in the pit lane is Kiko Galbiati, serving the regulation minute at rest before he blasts away. Down the hill here comes Krus. He's still got 3 more corners on the lap to go, as away now goes Kiko Galbiati. Has to hesitate slightly because Antonio Vossos was on his way down the pit lane. But Galbiati looks like he's going to get out well clear here, because where is Danny Krus's car? It's only coming out of the chicane. It's not even on the pit straight yet. So it's going to be quite a gap, I reckon. It was hovering around the 4-second margin before the pit stops. Now, there is Galbiati who gets away. The pit stop time for Danny Krus was 1 minute 29.1 seconds. For Galbiati, actually a slower stop, 1 minute 30.2. But over the timing line they have gone, and the gap looks a large one still. There is the charging Krus. Where's the green car? It's up the road ahead, but Danny Krus has got to make up a big chunk of time here. You can only assume it was not a really good outlap from him, so he's lost time, even though it was a fractionally faster pit stop. We'll see what the gap is between the two at the end of their next passing of the timing line. Stuart Middleton is in the pits, by the way, who was the on-the-road leader for a lap. And where's that car going to blend back in? Di Falco is in, and Schlegelmilch is in as well. So as there, Antonio Vossos blasts away. Pretty much everybody now, if you've not pitted, has to pit, because otherwise you're going to run out of time. Less than a minute of that pit window opening. So as long as you're in, you don't have to have completed the stop, you've just got to be in before the window closes. So Jack Bartholomew runs around the side of the car, another single-seater convert. Stuart Middleton unfolds himself, walks away. And that will put number 44, should put number 44 of Kiko Galbiati back into the lead of the race when they come next over the line. The race now with just 20 minutes and change, still to go. So there is 44. That's Kiko Galbiati then. He is the man trying to build up this gap over Danny Krus, but Jack Bartholomew and Davide Venditti are the others to blend back into the order. Up to the chicane comes the Imperiale Racing car. So that graphic was how they came over the timing line last time. Some in the pit, some on the track. And it's shuffling all the time now. The window is closed, so pit stops have to have been taken. And Jake Rattenbury, who we talked about taking over 33 early, is back in the pit lane with a problem. He wasn't making progress. It looks like that car may have suffered some damage and it's off. Right, there's the leader, but Jack Bartholomew is away. Is he going to be able to get ahead and stay ahead of Krus on the stops? Yes, so he keeps that second place. So here's the lead battle. Kiko Galbiati versus Jack Bartholomew. Down through turn 1. Jack Bartholomew taking over that car from Stuart Middleton. There up into 3rd place now is Davide Venditti. So actually, despite a pretty decent pit stop, down to 4th falls Danny Krus. Not good news for them in the championship. Very good news, though, as far as Galbiati and Postiglione are concerned. So there you have Kiko Galbiati up front, pushing on to try and build this gap. Now Danny Cruz has got to do a lot of hard work in the remaining 19 minutes. That's the first target, Davide Venditti. Remember, everybody has the same car. They're run by different teams, so it's your ability, it's the team's ability to get the best out of the package. But Danny Cruz in his first season in these cars, so too Davide Venditti, a relative rookie, came in at the back end of last year, having been in the Italian Formula 4 Championship. But Danny Cruz, 3 times a winner this year, has been a very impressive rookie, going, in a sense, to mirror what Jeroen Mul did a few years ago, coming into the championship, the Dutch driver, and then instantly being picked up by Lamborghini. Green flag being waved there, suggesting somebody had a moment further round the lap. You see the dust settling as Danny Cruz pushes on. Number 9 then is Davide Venditti. Can he hang on to this place? We'll have a look at the order next time around and also see where Shota Abkazova has fallen back in after taking over from Harold Schlegelmilch. On board here with Davide Venditti up towards the slower version of the chicane, that harder start. Rattle over the curb. You see he does that as the car rattles through, leans left and right over the curbing. There, number 3 is the charging Danny Cruz. Now the gap that he's going to try and make up against Davide Venditti is about to be revealed. The leader will go through, Kiko Galbiati, then up front by 2.8 seconds from Jack Bartholomew. 3rd is Venditti, 4th is Cruz. That's a 1.2 second gap. So Danny Cruz is 6.4 seconds back, and they were 4.4 before the pit stops. In 5th now is Shota Abkazova. In 6th it is Niels Lagrange. 7th is Nico Gomar. 8th Josef Zaruba. 9th, which it puts him ahead of Robert Zwinger. 9th is Zwinger. 10th is Gregor Maczulski. Now that's the leading car of Kiko Galbiati, and we'll start to monitor sector times on this lap to see whether he's getting away from Jack Bartholomew in 2nd place. Number 88, Hans Fabry, is being given a ½ second penalty at the end of the race for not respecting his pit stop time. So slightly short, time added on at the end. Down through, and a big slide there from 44, Kiko Galbiati, the race leader, in strife at turn 8. He got away with that, but the car very nearly getting away from him. We also understand that stationary trackside is Supichai Wiraborwampong, the Thai driver in the bright orange car, just on the exit of that previous corner. So that would be why we had the green flag a lap ago at the Schumacher S exit. So Wiraborwampong stationary through the Schumacher S. Whether that's going to need the race to be interrupted to move it, we'll wait and see. Hopefully it won't. And Galbiati then, after that little slide, he was certainly pushing on because he gained 3/10 in that sector alone over Jack Bartholomew. Now comes up into the traffic. Gets past his teammate, and that is Supichai Wiraborwampong. Gets going again. The MTech car, Mike Edmonds' team, runs this car, and Supichai Wiraborwampong was 21st, so he had his moment, he's got it started again, sets off into the race. Race leaders through, and Danny Cruz is 5.9 seconds away from the leader. He's closing a little bit onto the back now of Davide Venditti for 3rd place. That's Jack Bartholomew, who is losing ground against Galbiati. 3 seconds that margin has gone up to. So he lost a couple of tenths, even with Galbiati's slide on that previous lap. Bartholomew now has to get past the Imperiale racing car just up the road ahead of Hans Fabry as they accelerate now out of turn 4. Fabry pulls out of the way, lets him go. Battle is on here as well ahead of the leader. So Kiko Galbiati facing more traffic. One of the cars is Libor Dvoracek. Hans Fabry down the hill he heads, with now Davide Venditti coming up to try and find a way past him. The leader through the traffic at the foot of the hill, at the inside, and Dvoracek's going to be the next one to be negotiated. Supichai Wiraborwampong is in the pit lane after whatever the moment was that stopped him trackside. He needs the team to have a look at that car, so he's in the pits as Galbiati goes through. Then now still pushing hard to get through the traffic with as little time lost as is possible. turns Bartholomew. Now, can he fend off Venditti is the next question. They swing their way down the hill once again here now. You can see the way that Cruz is coming back at Venditti, and this will help Jack Bartholomew because Venditti will have to go defensive. That in turn means that he's going to go slower, and it will enable Jack Bartholomew to preserve second place, possibly to the end. But if Cruz gets past quickly, then he might be able to have a go at the second place car before the end. Each place gained from here on in for Cruz is going to give him more points. Over the timing line goes the race leader, Galbiati then up front. 17 laps are in the book. They did 24 yesterday. No safety car. We've had a safety car lap, so perhaps 23 is the estimated target today. 3 seconds clear of Bartholomew. He is then. Venditti is third, half a second clear of Danny Cruz, who is now, as they approach the traffic, looking for a way by. Through they turn. There is 32, Jack Bartholomew hanging on a second place. Whoops, and that's 22, having a very near miss indeed. Libor Dvoracek, blimey, oh so close to wiping out Davide Venditti. Jack Bartholomew got through only just. I'll have a look at the replay of that in a moment. I don't think there was contact, but Dvoracek suddenly had a wobble and oh so nearly got in the way of second and third place cars. That could have spelt disaster, with a capital disaster really. Kiko Galbiati was well clear of it, but there were one or two scary moments behind all of that. Right, time for deep breaths to be taken, and Danny Cruz, who also hesitated, chases on behind. Now this is how we look at the moment in Pro with 2 races to go. This is the predicted points, but if Cruz gets past Venditti, it'll all change. And right now you can see it's 111 versus 104. That would be the Pro Cup situation going to Jerez. If Danny Cruz cannot find a way past Davide Venditti, and the way that he's going, I would predict that he will get past before the very end. Bartholomew and Middleton third in the Pro Championship, and the absent Karol Bash, Bartosz Pazieski run fourth as the leaders now blast up towards the chicane into the last 12 minutes of the race. Not only, actually, is Venditti having to fend off Cruz, but he's only 1.3 seconds back from Bartholomew. So could Danny Cruz go up to second place by the end? It's a tall order because he's not yet found a way past the Italian, but he is still having a good try as they come now through turn 17. Up towards the timing line once again here. Through they turn down now into turn 1 again, and starting lap 19, 11 minutes on the clock. Wide goes Venditti, all up the curb, and that in turn brings number 3, Danny Cruz, just a fraction nearer, but he's not really near enough to take advantage of that. So no change, although you could argue there that the gap is down at turn 3. Danny Cruz looking a little bit nearer, but not near enough to challenge. There's the leader. That's Galbiati. Bartholomew's Blackburn Audi car second, and Cruz on the limit as he comes out of the arena. Now, here is Dvoracek, who runs wide over the curb. Bartholomew goes through, and here Dvoracek just may even have made contact with Venditti, because if he didn't, it was only by a gnat's crotchet. That was oh so close. This is on board with Venditti. Suddenly sees this tank slapper ahead of him. It might just have been a little tiny brush between the two, but that was a sizable Code Brown moment in Venditti's car, I would have thought, as he tried to avoid the errant Libor Dvoracek. However, unmolested by all of this, number 44, Kiko Galbiati, leads the way. 4.7 seconds clear now of Jack Bartholomew there in second place, falling away. His last lap was a 2 minutes 2.1, not yet being caught by the Venditti-Cruz battle. But you still wonder what Cruz could do with a clear road ahead of him. The cork in the bottle to an extent is Davide Venditti, but equally he's doing the right thing in terms of defending. He's not doing anything dangerous, he's not doing anything overly defensive. He's standing his ground and making sure that, for the moment at least, number 3, Danny Cruz, cannot find a way through. Into the chicane they come once again here. Back on the power and up towards the right-hander of turn 17. Can Venditti hang on in there? The clock ticking on down. 19 laps now done by the leader. Through goes Galbiati. Bartholomew second, Venditti third, Cruz fourth. But at the moment, that championship gap narrowing between Cruz, Afanasieff and Galbiati Posiglione as they swing now through the arena once again. Lap number 20, and Danny Cruz can get barely any closer to the back of Venditti's car without contact. But where's he going to find a way through, if at all? Tightens the line at turn 3, rides the curb. Trying to force a mistake out of Davide Venditti, and it's not coming, is it, for the moment? Down towards turn 5 now. Venditti might not be able to go off to Bartholomew, but he's standing his ground here. Downhill turns the car of Davide Venditti. This part of the Target Racing squad. Ronaldo entry behind of Danny Cruz, unable to find a way through. He's applying the pressure, he's trying to force a mistake out of Venditti, but to no avail as they come now up through turn 8. Quick rattle over the curve there from Danny Cruz. There you see the third place car, Davide Venditti, falling away from Jack Bartholomew, who in turn is not being able to do very much at the moment about the race leader. Still, now with all the attention focused on him, there is Danny Cruz to see what he can do about coming back at the third place car of Venditti. So there, through the chicane they come, up to the end of lap number 20, now back on the power comes Cruz, but Venditti, in fairness to him, is not making mistakes. Huge flash of flame out of the back as he lifts and comes into turn 17. The leader is about to come over the line, and as he does so, Kiko Galbiati has the gap over Jack Bartholomew now up to 5 seconds. So Bartholomew falling away, Galbiati looking very strong indeed up front. Venditti third, fourth there is Cruz, hugely frustrated that he just cannot find a way by. Fifth is Niels Lagrange, sixth is Shota Abkazova, leading in Pro-Am. Seventh is Josef Zaruba, eighth is the leading Am, Nicholas Germar from Robert Svinger. Ninth, Jordan Witt, the British driver, who's a Lamborghini regular for Barwell in the Endurance Cup, Blockman Endurance Cup. He is in 10th spot at the moment. Through the arena once again comes the rather flame-happy Davide Venditti car. It's another way of fending off the opposition, almost James Bond style, with a flamethrower out of the back. Into turn 5 goes Jack Bartholomew. So the target now, I think, is to preserve that second place. He's not going to catch the leader, and nor is he going to be caught by this battle behind. Up the curb goes Venditti. And again, Cruz looks quick, looks close. Is there a chance to dive up the inside down at turn 8? It's a difficult part of the circuit to overtake at. He goes to the outside line, can't do it. What about the inside line heading up the hill? Tightens the line. Yes, now finally the move is on. Up the curb goes Venditti, heading towards the Schumacher S. Venditti squeezes Cruz up towards the curb, hangs onto the place, but that's the first real serve of intent there from Danny Cruz. And he's managed finally to rattle Venditti. Now he goes to the inside at turn 11. That should get him the place, and it does. He goes through on the inside line. Danny Cruz goes through, picks up the spot. So downhill they come then now, and you've got a change for third place and a change for the championship points system as well, because that is going to bring that car of Cruz very much into contention. Fuel pump problem, we understand, for Jake Rattenbury and Mikko Eskelinen. That's why that car is in pit lane. Big frustration for a competitive combination of drivers in the AM category there, as Cruz then now up into third, sets his sights on Jack Bartholomew. Let's see whether he can bring down that gap. Danny Cruz on the back of Holger Harmsen now. Swings through on the inside line. Goes through on the inside of the back marker. So now Cruz and Afanasieff would be 5 ahead in the Pro Cup going to Jerez. And that might yet change, because Bartholomew to Cruz 3.9 seconds. 4 minutes to go. It's a big ask, isn't it, that? Up the curb goes Cruz as he plunges downhill. Now in the first sector, Let's see what his time is relative to Jack Bartholomew. Actually, a little bit slower. So Danny Cruz, possibly because of traffic, losing ground. They've got Gregor Marczulski, Antonius Vossos, and then Gerard van der Horst, 11th, 12th, 13th. And 3 different classes represented here. You've got a Pro-Am, an Am, and a Lamborghini Cup entry. Of them, Gregor Marczulski should be the quicker, and he's the one at the head of that queue as he comes over the line. Vossos behind, and to the inside goes serial Lamborghini Cup champion Gerard van der Horst, but he's not going to be able to get through on the inside line. 4 minutes on the clock still. There is 98, Gerard van der Horst then, 13th overall, and leading the Lamborghini Cup as well. So significantly, he's ahead of Joseph Collado, and then Francois Semolin, who's running in 3rd in the class at the moment. We've got 3.5 minutes on the clock. This is number 12, Shota Abkazova, who is 6th overall, but leading in Pro-Am. Ever-quickening driver is Abkazova. Harold Schlegelmilch started, but it's Abkazova behind the wheel of the car now, so ignore the graphic. It's a class leader, but with the team patron, Shota Abkazova behind the wheel. Heading up towards the timing line. Through he goes. So past the pits, Shota Abkazova in 6th spot. Time for one more lap at the end of the one they're on now. So we will get to 24 laps after all. Galbiati is now 6.5 seconds clear of Bartholomew, who is 4.5 clear of Danny Cruz. It looks like the order is pretty much stabilised. As you see, Niels Lagrange going through ahead of the lap on Harmsen. He's in 17th place, Harmsen, in number 90 there, the Attempto racing car. A squad busy here this weekend with cars in the Blancpain GT World Challenge Europe doubleheader. Number 30 out of turn 8 then is a rather lonely Lagrange, nobody to battle against. Now they make the climb up the hill once more. So Lagrange 5th, Abkazova a rather distant 6th behind him. And on this, the 23rd lap, cars turn their way out of turn 8, looking at Hans Fabry, one of the lap markers. Hans Fabry, who is in 19th spot, getting a penalty at the end of the race, half a second. I think he got a penalty yesterday from memory for being short of the pit stop. So strange that it keeps going wrong. Nicolas Gomar here is another class leader. He is now the leading Am. Gomar ahead of Robert Zwinger, and the gap between them is 18.7 seconds. Up to the chicane. There is the traffic, and number 22, which is Libor Dvoracek, is about to go a lap down. But on to the approach at turn 5 here is Kiko Galbiati. 49 seconds, this should be the last lap, shouldn't it, as he drops down the hill, and a 4th win of the season beckons for Kiko Galbiati and Vito Postiglione. Into turn 8 comes the Romanian-born Italian, who's adopted the name of Kiko Galbiati. He powers his way now into turns 9 and 10, the Schumacher S. That marker ahead, but that shouldn't really be an issue because Galbiati has enough in hand to temper his pace if he needs to. With Bartholomew 2nd, Cruz running in 3rd. It's Venditti 4th, Lagrange 5th, Abkazova 6th, and Kiko Galbiati then set for a 2nd win of the weekend with Vito Postiglione, and this will be a great result to help their championship hopes going to Jerez. Down the hill he comes, Kiko Galbiati then sitting on the back of the back marker, which is not making life awfully easy. That's the Semolins, father and son. And it is Francois Semolin at the wheel of 26 who should get out of the way. The leader up the inside, and yes, Kiko Galbiati does put one lap on Semolin into the last corner. Checkered flag at the ready, and so as they power up towards the timing line, it's going to be a 2nd win of the weekend for Kiko Galbiati and Vito Postiglione. Second goes the way, should go the way, of Jack Bartholomew and Stuart Middleton. And that car comes towards the line now. It has taken the flag. Third, Danny Cruz and Sergei Afanasiev. And fourth, Davide Venditti and Alberto Di Folco. This Shota Abkhazova on target for a class win. He's only done one race this weekend, but 2 wins for co-driver Harold Schlegelmilch, who did yesterday's, of course, as a soloist. So out of turn 17 comes Abkhazova. Checkered flag is waved, and Shota Abkhazova takes another victory. He's shared that car with Julien Falchero as well this year, so he's not always had the same co-driver. 89 coming up towards the timing line. Nicolas Gomar, he's going to be another class winner. Flag at the ready, and Nico Gomar scores victory in the AM Cup. There is a very happy Vito Posiglione, knowing that the championship has just really come alive for him. He could have done without Cruz getting third place, but even so, they're still very much in the hunt. 2 wins this weekend. Very impressive indeed. Posiglione embraces everybody, and the Italian driver will head shortly to Parc Fermé and then perhaps think about what needs to be done in sunny Spain for the final 2 races of the season. Vito Posiglione then taking win number 4 of the season, along with new co-driver for this year, Chico Galbiati. Lamborghini Cup honours, incidentally, going to Gerard van der Horst. 2 different winners across that class, 2 different wins across the AMs, and a double as far as outright is concerned for Vito Posiglione there, and the man that will bring the car now round towards Parc Fermé, that being Chico Galbiati. Pit road comes a very happy Chico Galbiati. Championship far from over. And the next stop is, as I say, Jerez. That's where the championship is going to be resolved in a month's time or so. Galbiati and Vito Posiglione have certainly brought themselves back into the mix as far as title honours are concerned. So there Vito Posiglione opens the door, is ready to celebrate. The Imperiale Racing Team, one of the top teams within Lamborghini Super Trofeo Racing. Out pops a very happy Chico Galbiati. And the celebrations begin, because, as I say, that very definitely brings them into the mix now as far as the championship is concerned. They pose for the photographs. And there, Vito Posiglione helps Chico Galbiati go through the post-race ritual, if you like, of unplugging everything. So, let's try and have a word with our winning drivers, because they are down in Parc Fermé, Vito Posiglione and Chico Galbiati with Dakota.
Congratulations, boys. Una bella gara, che bella gara. Well done. Really buono per la campionata.
Sì, sicuramente oggi abbiamo recuperato tanti punti sui nostri diretti avversari, loro sono arrivati terzi, quindi adesso chiaramente ci giocheremo tutto alla finale. Adesso abbiamo 5 punti solo di svantaggio da loro. È stata una bellissima gara, sono riuscito a fare un'ottima partenza, poi è entrata la safety car, ma comunque sono riuscito a ripartire bene. Ho iniziato a spingere, a guadagnare il più possibile senza forzare troppo, proprio per lasciare la macchina a Chicco anche con le gomme ottime, e lui ha finito di fare il lavoro, quindi che dire, weekend perfetto, una pole, 2 vittorie, un giro veloce, quindi macchina veramente perfetta in tutto, e ripeto, è stato bravissimo anche lui oggi a a completare il lavoro, quindi di nuovo i complimenti a tutto il team imperiale, a tutti i ragazzi, a tutti, a Ivano, Pignatti, a tutti, grazie davvero.
From what I gather, what Vito said, the car is very good. They maximized the tires. Kiko, you did very, very well to finish that race in first place.
Yeah, absolutely. Vito did a mega job today, like yesterday. Starts very well and give me the car in a very good position. And also the car was very good. I could push until the last lap. And I have to say thank you to all the guys that worked a lot for us this weekend, to my family and to Imperiale Racing and to Vito that did a really good job.
Comincia prima e finito prima, un gara bellissimo. Grazie mille. Thank you very much.
So the championship battle is well and truly alive, heading to Jerez then, as Shota Abkhazova and Harold Schlegelmilch make their way up the pit lane. And it's good that Shota has been here today after family commitments forcing him to miss yesterday's race. So the Pro-Am victors, 2 out of 2 this weekend for Harold Schlegelmilch, and a single win, because he did a single race for Shota Abkhazova, who runs race teams, owns circuits, races himself, promotes events, promotes championships. He's a proper Russian motorsport impresario, is the Georgian, and has got faster and faster and faster, season on season on season, within the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. So, the way they came across the line, Vito Posiglione and Kiko Galviati score honours over Jack Bartholomew and Stuart Middleton. The gap at the flag being 5.7 seconds, with Danny Cruz and Sergei Afanasiev in third. Davide Venditti and Alberto Di Folco fourth, ahead of Niels Lagrange and Arsene Lambert. Sixth, the Pro-Am winners, Shota Abkhazova, Harold Schlegelmilch, ahead of Josef Saruba and Jakub Knoll. The winning AMs, 8th, Nico Gomar and Gilles Vanelay, ahead of Robert Zwinger, and 10th today, Jordan Witt and Oscar Lee, ahead of Gregor Moczulski and Andrei Lewandowski. Antonio Vossos, 12th, ahead of Gerard van der Horst, who was the winning Lamborghini Cup entry, ahead of Joseph Collado. David Fairbrother and Jack Butel, 15th. 16th, the Semolin, son and father, Benoit and Francois, ahead of Holger Harmsen, Oliver Freimuth, and then Hans Fabry with Libor Dvoracek and Kurt Wagner. 20th, Superchai Wiraborwampong, classified 21st, Jake Rattenbury and Stephen Licorice, 2 British drivers and their co-drivers, not, sadly, getting to the end. Look back at the highlights of that race that began with the car of Vito Posiglione diving into the race lead and just a little bit of contact forcing Stephen Licorice into a spin. Everybody avoided him. More drama came as Mikko Eskelinen fell out with Robert Zwinger. The 2 of them rattling through the gravel. Eskelinen in the end out with fuel pump woes. Pit stop window opened in that middle third. Everybody cycling through the stops and gave Kiko Galbiati the race lead after Vito Posiglione handed over the car. Jack Bartholomew took this over from Stuart Middleton but fell back into second spot. And then as Libor Dvoracek had a big moment, just avoided here by Davide Venditti, the Italian ultimately lost out to Danny Cruz, the championship leader, gaining a place and maintaining the margin over the car here of Vito Posiglione and Kiko Galbiati. So a second victory for the victorious Italians. So now from the Nürburgring though, it's goodbye. So Danny Cruz and Kiko Galbiati with the overall situation now, being the championship leaders. Kiko Galbiati, Vito Posiglione keeping this battle alive heading to Jerez, and mathematically in contention, but they need a lot of bad luck for the other 2 teams, Jack Bartholomew and Stuart Middleton. Bartosz Pawziewski, Karol Bash missing this weekend. Hopefully they will return for Jerez, but of course that could be the Imperiale Racing team's requirement to take points away from the Bonaldi teams and help the combination of Posiglione and Galbiati. We'll wait and see what pans out when we get to Spain. So in Pro-Am, Shota Abkhazova, who's got different co-drivers and has done different numbers of races from Harold Schlegelmilch, is the category leader. Gregor Moczulski third, ahead of Luca Di Marchi. He's not here this weekend. Andrei Lewandowski ahead of Davide Venditti, who started the year with Alberto Di Folco in Pro-Am, and then they made the step up to Pro. Julien Falchero took a couple of wins at Spa, but isn't here this weekend. Kang Ling has dipped in and out, so has Jordan Witt. Newcomers this weekend, Jack Butel and David Fairbrother. the other classes, the AMS and the Lamborghini Cup, need to be considered too. Nicolas Gomar, a comfortable leader of the Lamborghini Cup, 50 points on offer at Jerez, so he's not done it yet, but it's close. Robert Zwinger second, and then a bad day today for Jake Rattenbury and Mikko Eskelinen, but they're still ahead of Stephen Licorice and Thomas Padovani, who had a bad day. Gilles Vanelay, a part season, puts him fifth, and Antonios Dossos is sixth. And as far as Lamborghini Cup is concerned, which has also been pretty open this year, that has traditionally been Gerard van der Horst's class. He has won that in the championship repeatedly, this year facing more opposition from the Semolans, from Joseph Collado. Between them, they've done the winning. That also will be resolved when we get to Jerez. So, drivers are ready. Now being brought forward onto the podium. Danny Cruz and Sergei Afanasiev taking third within the Pro. Second is going to go the way of Jack Bartholomew and Stuart Middleton. And the winners, Vito Postiglione and Kiko Galbiati, step forward for the top step of the podium. And a second victory of the weekend for the Italians. For Kiko Galbiati, Vito Postiglione and Imperiali Racing, the Italian national anthem for the winners. And now the Lamborghini personnel step forward with the trophies. And Maurizio Reggiani, the Chief Technical Officer of Automobili Lamborghini, hands over the trophies first of all to the third placed drivers, Danny Cruz, Sergei Afanasiev, then to Stuart Middleton and Jack Bartholomew, taking second place, but Kiko Galbiati and Vito Postiglione getting closer and closer within the championship, and a great showdown, I think, is now set for Jerez in October. Ferruccio Pavesi from Pirelli has awards to present as well, and the top three overall, the top three in the Pro category on the podium. Danny Cruz, not exactly all smiles, frustrated perhaps that race did not deliver a better result, but now the drivers all huddled together on the top step for photographs at the end of the second race of the weekend for Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe here at the Nuerburgring. For Kiko Galbiati and Vito Postiglione, 2 wins at Misano, 2 wins here, and it might only just be gone 10:30 in the morning, but they care not. There is champagne to be sprayed, celebrations for the Italians, and the championship fight very definitely is going to be a fierce one at Jerez. Sergei Afanasiev soaks anybody you can find, and the drivers now will make their way off the podium, which will quickly be dressed ready for Pro-Ams, AMS and the Lamborghini Cup drivers as well. Podium ceremonies in multi-class races, never the shortest of processes, but the overall victors, who all run in the Pro category anyway, make their way off the podium, and the Pro-Am drivers, the class won by Harold Schlegelmilch and Shota Abkazova, will be brought forward in a moment. There, Gregor Maczulski and Andrei Lewandowski, third in Pro-Am. The British driver Jordan Witt second, along with Oscar Lee, will make his way forward. There he is, the Cheshire driver, and the Taiwanese co-driver Oscar Lee, so newcomers to the championship. And there, Shota Abkazova and Harold Schlegelmilch. Harold with a second victory of the weekend. Shota Abkazova victorious, having just done today's race. For Harold Schlegelmilch and a very proud Georgian driver, Shota Abkazova, the national anthem of the winning team, Artline Team Georgia, played, and then the trophies can be presented. Giorgio Sana, the head of motorsport of Automobili Lamborghini, is on duty this time, himself a former racer within Super Trofeo. He hands over the trophies, Oscar Lee and Jordan Witt. Jordan keeping himself fresh in anticipation of the final Blancpain GT Series Endurance Cup round, in which he's a Silver Cup star for Barwell in Lamborghinis. So with no racing to really have until the end of the month, keeping himself fresh. And there, the winners, Harold Schlegelmilch and Shota Abkazova. So the trophies in the air, both the championship and the Pirelli trophies. Everybody now huddling together for photographs, and we will have the championships across all the classes resolved, as I say, at Jerez over the weekend of the 24th to the 27th of October. We'll see you there, but for now from the Nuerburgring, it's goodbye from David Addison and the team.